So, John, we are in the midst of a race war, whichever way you look at it in South Africa. It's a benign war at the moment, and hopefully doesn't become a militant war. But truly, with the discussion around the Expropriation Act, the advent of the Trump, we are in the midst of something that certainly in South Africa, over the short term, and the short term being the last month or so, has really become a black and a white thing here in South Africa. If you look at AfriForum and Solidarity on the one hand, and you look at the ANC and their partners on the other, that is the reality in South Africa. But how would you characterize race relations today in South Africa?
So I would dispute the fact that we're in a race war. And I would say that based on our polling, which we do annually and have been doing for over 2 decades, we can tell you that most South Africans get along quite well across racial lines, and that the levels of racial hostility are far lower than you might be led to think by reading the media or listening to politicians.
That's
So most South
fantastic.
Africans actually get on. Yeah, absolutely. It's a real, in our polling, we see many reasons for hope. We see that South Africans are not at each other's throats trying to drive each other into the sea or anything like that. Most of them want to cooperate, get ahead in their lives, and not motivated by animosity, and really also are driven by very moderate and sensible values. So if you ask people what the two top priorities are that the government should be focusing on, for the past 20 years, the top answer has always been jobs, which is not surprising because you know what the unemployment situation is like here. And then if you go down the list of reasons of priorities, you'll see that there's two clusters. And the one cluster is related to services, government services. So it's like education, healthcare, housing, transport, water, electricity. So that those basic things. And the other cluster is about crime and security. So most South Africans are motivated, like if they're thinking about voting and about the government and how the country gets run, they say, like, we need jobs, please. And please can we be safe so that when we walk home from work in the evening, we don't get mugged, we don't get assaulted, and we can keep the stuff that we've earned legitimately and that we own. And we would like the government, please, to make sure that when we switch the light flick, when we flick the light switch, the light comes on. Then if we open the tap, water comes out. And the government is failing at even those basic tasks at the moment, which is
So how
causing a
do
lot of
we
unhappiness.
how do we drown out that noise that would want to, in fact, spark the flames of a race war?
So I would say that the risk of a race war is not zero. Like it's on the horizon, it can happen. I don't think we've reached that level of racial polarization, and most South Africans, as I said, are quite moderate. But of course, if the levels of desperation and of agitation become sufficient, then it is possible that we are going to reach that level. And it hinges on one really very simple and critical fact, and that is the question of economic growth. So if we remain a society where the population grows at 1.3% per year and the economy grows at 0.6% per year, which means that people are getting poorer from year to year.
Mm.
If competition for jobs is zero-sum competition, for me to get a job, you have to lose yours. As long as that is the case, the country remains fertile for revolutionary messaging. So we need to get the economy growing in order to avert this risk, plus also, of course, to improve the lives of ordinary South Africans.